Hey folks, Rick Berube here. We are here today with Nikki Bernstein from the Scottsdale office, Arizona, real estate rockstar. Welcome, Nikki. All right, Nikki, let's start off. Tell them a little about yourself, how long you've been doing it, maybe about your wonderful year last year and where you are this year. All that good stuff would be wonderful.
Okay, so I've been practicing real estate professionally since 2007, but residential, I have been practicing for 7 years. Actually, on June 22nd, it will be our 5th year with Berkshire. So we're very excited about that. The Nikki B Group is turning 5.
So are we.
Huh?
I said we are also excited.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad. And last year was, of course, just like everybody else, incredible. And this year we're tracking really well. Of course, there's a little bit of a backstep, but I can't say that I don't welcome it because the pace was harrowing, as everybody knows and experienced.
Yes. Good with harrowing. I like that. That's a good use of words.
It was a lot.
My personality says semi-ballistic.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But you and I communicate well, so it's all dramatic.
Exactly.
Regardless, it
It's
was
all
just
good in the hood.
drama.
Yes.
Unknown caller.
Exactly. There we go. All right. Facebook Live, baby. All right. That's why I love it.
Turn off the phone. Someone's always calling me. Unknown
That's
caller.
okay.
Let's just put this on tip 1. I always answer calls I don't recognize. Today being the exception.
Okay, good. Good. And why do you do that, Nikki B?
Because you never know if it's a buyer or a seller that was referred.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you answer them all. You know, because it's funny because I've been doing this business since I used to walk past the woman at the front desk and she would give me little pink pieces of paper with messages before cell phones. I've been doing this since before cell phones.
I was thinking about my first job when I had to buy a pager.
Wow.
That was painful. Yeah. And I would have to pull over. I was working as a PA in Los Angeles. I'd have to pull over when they paged me, stick coins in the phone and call in and find out what they wanted.
I know. And today you don't even see a phone booth anymore. Isn't that funny? That's hilarious.
Yep. Pulled up, always had to have quarters because you were expected to call when they called.
Right, exactly. Awesome. Okay. So tell us a little about, so you mentioned, you said, obviously that harrowing would be the way to describe last year, which I would agree, very nicely put. And this year, a slight step back. Tell us a little about that. What are you seeing out there?
Well, I mean, I'm seeing what everyone else is seeing, which is ultimately the interest rates are rising. I think buyer temperatures have really changed. And what that means is buyers have become more educated. They've had 2+ years to educate themselves. And especially during COVID, they got so educated because what else was there to do?
Right.
And if you wanted to buy a home, they were busy studying the homes. They knew homes inside and out. Now, granted, every buyer doesn't know everything, but they've been studying and they have certain expectations that what $1 million home looks like, what a 750, what a 500, and so on. Buyers are very savvy at this point because they've had time to educate themselves. So, there's a certain expectation that people have, and they go, ooh, they understand when homes get sold for $100,000 more, but they also understand when they sit on the market for longer. So it's about educating the sellers on the education of the buyers so they understand that the two of them need to meet.
So true. So true. And buyers have never had more information. I mean, like you said, we've never had more educated buyers ever because of their availability to data. I mean, they can go on, your phone is a computer. You can look up anything you want. It doesn't mean, the opinions of Redfin and Zillow are always 100% correct, but at least it gives you information about them. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. I mean, like I always tell my friends, I did get my medical degree just yesterday, Dr. Nikki Bernstein, and here's my diagnosis. And by virtue of the same,
right,
the buyers and the sellers got their real estate license yesterday. And even though our barrier to entry is pretty low, 90 hours, they haven't invested those 90 hours, and nor have they invested in the practice of real estate. So if we can continue to educate our buyers and sellers on what the market is doing and really keep abreast of what's going on in the market, then we get to be the experts.
That's right. That's right. I love the way you put that. That's perfect too. And also, being from Scottsdale, Arizona, as you are, one of the
Yeah.
hottest appreciating market last year.
And it's starting to get hot here as well. So our temps are gonna match our market very
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah, it's the first time first time I drove to Scottsdale with this job. It's the first time my inside thermometer of my car ever said 128 degrees. Now, I do have a black on black car, and it was parked outside for a couple hours. So, but you know what I'm saying. You live there. It gets hot, but it's a dry heat, right?
It is a dry heat, and we could go into the dry heat versus humidity, and I'm going to say that humidity wins for torture.
Yeah, humidity is really tough on my hair, so I don't mind the dry heat myself.
Yeah, I could see where that would be an issue for you.
Exactly. All right. So, in with this now, I think this little step back, as you put it, I think is good because if sellers are waiting for like a 747 to level off at cruising altitude, we may have got there, and we're probably going to have some slower appreciation, and with the interest rates rising, so. And with the inventory also climbing, it gives people options. They're not buyers won't lose out. So maybe a lot of these people that got out of the market because they were disgusted can now jump back in and find what they're looking for, and even having something locked up, let's say, before they put their home on the market. So there's a lot of benefits to the current pace of the market.
I agree, and the whole argument of sellers saying, "I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. Where am I going to go?" Having these opportunities presented to them, or that the market is presenting these opportunities, actually then could lead to more listings for us.
Right. I agree. So it's a great time to be in the real estate business. Now, especially where you've been, I would say that prices have probably doubled in 4 years there, haven't they? It was about 4 years ago.
I would say.
Yeah. So the average sale price has really gone up, but where everybody's coming from, because most of them are coming from California, Washington, Minnesota, all those. I mean, it's still quite a deal as far as the prices where you are.
Well, the news actually just this morning was indicated, and of course, it was a snippet, and it's all sound bites, and that's really one of the things that we have to compete with is what is the news media saying, and how are they operating inside of these sound bites? And they're saying, Phoenix is no longer the affordable market that it once was.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is when you compare to metropolises, it is.
Right.
But if you're coming from middle somewhere else, not quite as much.
Right. Well, it's the fifth largest city in the country, and I think that it's gone through that. Every city goes through it where the cost of living goes up, the average sale prices go up. Look at New York, look at Los Angeles, look at San Francisco. You guys are nowhere near that, right? But at the same token, compared to 4 or 5 years ago, where it was amazing, now it's still a great deal, but it's not quite the deal. And honestly, I think the media is going to help us because I think they're going to overshoot what's happening right now. And I think it's going to help the market out as well, because I don't think, people are talking about a bubble and is it going to go down again like 2007? And the answer is no, because none of the conditions are the same, right? But it doesn't mean they won't talk about it.
I think that the news media is sensationalizing what's happening. Yes.
There's a good way to put it as well, sensationalizing. I agree. I would concur.
Well, thank you.
All right. So now I know how busy you are because I get to coach you, which is wonderful. But I want to hear, so they want to hear, give us, so I want to be successful in this market. What would be some of the things you would tell them to focus on to be successful in a market like this?
Well, the first thing is that you have to be ready for change. And change isn't always exterior. Sometimes it's interior. So right now, and this, so we're just going to spill my secrets right here. Mm-hmm. Right now, I am in the middle of a change. I am really focused on growing my business in a new way, excuse me, that works for me, as opposed to approaching real estate in a very harrowing and harried way. So it's all about method. And, it's only taken 5 years of coaching, only 5, 5 years of coaching to really come focused on time blocking and what's really important. And so Mark is always talking about DRC. You and I talk about DRC all the time. Now I'm utilizing you as a resource saying, I have a question about this or that. When I don't like what I see, what I'm learning is I need to use my resources.
Right.
So, excuse me, one second. Excuse me. So I'm reaching out to you in between our coaching sessions.
Yes, you did yesterday.
I did. I did. So good. I get to brag about it today.
Yeah.
I reach out to you, or I'm reaching out to Troy, or working with Mark, or working with Patrice at our office. All of those things, utilizing the resources I have around me, that's something that is invaluable. And I even reached out to Kathy Kellner the other day and asked her what the secret to her success was. And we really peeled back what it is I need to do. And it all speaks to time blocking.
Mm.
Bottom line, it's time blocking.
So having that schedule time blocked so you can get certain things done in certain times. And just so everybody understands, DRC stands for Daily Revenue Commitment, which really is about conversing with different lead sources to create business, right?
Correct. So it's about making phone calls, it's about emails, it's about texts, it's about notes. And it can be done in any way, shape, or form. And what we came up upon, just a quick, for example, I was going through my client base and I saw someone I really didn't want to call because I didn't know them. They got on my client base management system and I didn't know them at all. And it would be weird picking up the phone and being like, hey, hi, how you doing? Oh, it's been so long. They don't know me. And so you and I talked about it. And this is another thing that I was thinking about this morning in relationship to this conversation. One of the things, I took your success series, the mini success series. And one of the things that I learned, or one of my big takeaways, was voice. And so a lot of times at the end of my sentences, I ask a question.
Right.
I don't think I did that very well, but there's something that I did where I raise my voice instead of dropping my voice. And when you made the, for example, and you're really good at that, so maybe you can do it for us right now. But when you made the example, it was really impactful. Do you know your line?
Yeah, like if you ask somebody, so when do you plan on moving? And you go up at the end like that, as opposed to, so when do you plan on moving? So your inflection goes down at the end of your question. I just did a video on that this morning, right before this, actually.
Go figure. So as it turns out, I was going to leave a voicemail for somebody. And instead of leaving a voicemail, I actually wrote the script that I wanted to leave. And then I started rehearsing it and I recorded it. And I don't sound so good. So I have more rehearsals to do. And I'm actually going to be sending it to you and get your feedback. And we'll work on it from there. So it's about growth. I mean, I think you're only growing if you're busy studying and learning. And so for me, thank you, Rick.
My pleasure. My pleasure. No, I call it my pleasure.
Rick.
I call it having quality conversations, but when you're in negotiations or you're trying to sync an appointment, following those rules is helpful. Now, when you're just being yourself, like a lot of your social media is you being you, and I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to you, because you have a bubbly, wonderful, positive personality that people would love to deal with when they're listing and selling. Okay, but when it comes down to negotiating, implementing these things and presenting. Just all of a sudden you go from wonderful, friendly, she's nice to, ooh, and she has a big slice of professional and knows how to negotiate. So it's deadly when you add that into the mix.
Right. And actually I was listening to a book this morning, The New Cybernetics.
Yes.
Right? Yep. And the author was telling a story about how he had a meeting with Lee Iacocca, and there were two other people on his team there, and they were very unsure of themselves, whereas he was prepared and he had a certain cadence to his voice, and he elicited confidence with Lee Iacocca, who at the time was one of the most powerful people in America. So it makes a difference, and presence makes a difference.
It really does. And speaking properly, and and I wouldn't even say properly, I would just say knowing human behavior. That's really what NLP is, neuro-linguistic programming, and that's just one technique from it, really separates you, because what they're feeling is she knows how to communicate, right? That's what they're feeling when you use those little techniques, which really work well. Good job. See, and Nikki, even as a top producer, you are extremely coachable, which not everybody is. Just so you know.
Well, look, the bottom line is that, if you stop learning, then you're stagnating. I mean, it is what it is. There's always someone who's going to know more than me. That's for sure. I mean, granted, one of my girlfriends says I'm the second smartest woman in America, but I am not the first. She claims that spot, but it's okay because
Oh,
I like being in second in that regard because it's always something to strive for. There's always something that I can go after a little bit more.
that's right. It's funny because that's what I tell Mark every time he speaks. I go, Mark, you're great. You're the second best speaker I know.
There you go. There you go.
Great thing. Our CEO has a wonderful sense of humor. So this is good.
There is that. There is that.
All right, Nikki B, I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you taking your time out today. Any final words of wisdom you want to leave these lovely people today?
Be prepared for change. That's really all I can say, is that if something's not working, change it. If you're not happy with how it is, change it. There's always another way, and there is always someone smarter than you in the room. So find that person and ask them what the secret to their success is, or ask them if they'll help you.
That's right. You're right. There's always somebody bigger, smarter, faster, better looking, more wonderful, right? There's always somebody better but, okay.
There is a but. There is a but, and I'm going to give you the but.
Yes.
But when Berkshire Hathaway talks about culture, one of the things that we do encourage, and one of the things that I've experienced, is that there's always someone who's willing to lend a hand. And that's probably the most important.
I agree 100%. One of the things I noticed right away when I came here 8 years ago, how even top producers will help everybody. It's great, like yourself included. So I just want to say, this year, I know you're going to kill it again. So keep rocking. And I really appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us today. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you for having me, Rick.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot, Nikki. See you soon.